What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 32. It's our Manchita episode. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined for the second time this week by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. It's Ian Michaud, a.k.a. E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O. Daniel, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. Obviously a busy week for us. We're 2 days away from being back with our friends at Q2. I know we're pumped up. I'm back in the ATX now, but how are you feeling, my friend?
Pumped up is an apt description for me. It's been a great week, obviously, for us, for the pod, for all of our Austin FC fans as well. And really just can't put into words how excited I am to get back there on Saturday. Saw a nice little tweet from RB who said who's going to the family reunion.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. So,
yeah,
we will be there, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I think I saw that as well. Accurate description, I think. And yeah, it's going to be great. So let's not waste any time here. Again, we already had one episode this week, kind of wrapping up the preseason. Also talked to Tom Bogert. So if you missed that, you can go scroll down one episode down in your podcast feed and check that out, because Tom Bogert was extremely gracious with his time. And I think we both had a blast talking to him. But we are here today on Thursday, again, a little over 48 hours until we kick off at Q2. We're here to preview that match, our first game preview of the season. Of course, everybody knows by this point the first opponent, St. Louis City, in their inaugural match on the road here in Austin. And so I guess wanted to talk a little bit about their team, because we don't have anything to go off of outside of their preseason results, their roster, their depth chart. And obviously there are some names that we're familiar with, certainly that Austin FC fans are familiar with our boy Jared Stroud there, but some other recognizable names on this roster. But first, I wanted to start, and I don't know how much St. Louis preview content you've taken in over the last few weeks, but I was learning a little bit about them, both from our friends at Moon Tower and We Are Austin TV, who were talking. They already did their game previews earlier this week. Their head coach is a chap by the name of Bradley Carnell, who is I believe, South African football player. And he comes to St. Louis after being the assistant with the Red Bulls most recently. So all reports say, and I caught up on Tom and the Extra Time fellas on the flight back yesterday. Apparently they're going to employ that same Red Bull, as those guys call it, energy drink soccer for the Red Bulls. But so they're going to play that same pressing style, right? We remember the Red Bulls coming through town last year, and they were still playing Open Cup games at that point. I believe they were in the Final Four, I think. And so we faced a heavily rotated Red Bull side, and that style did not suit us. Obviously, we were down 4-1 at one point, and we had obviously some fantastic goals scored in that one for both teams, but Austin coming up short. So obviously St. Louis coming in with no history, and I think certainly a less talented roster, even when the Red Bulls were so heavily rotated. But I've seen some people in shout out our buddy Kevin Morris on Twitter. I saw him saying, maybe we shouldn't be as confident as it feels on the surface because of the style. We've seen this team struggle. So I guess what are your thoughts hearing about that, hearing what's coming for us, regardless of the personnel on the field, with new guys on the back line, right? If Zani's going to get back in there, we'll talk about what we think the lineup will be, our predictions here in a second. But obviously Leo, who has had a solid preseason since he arrived, good with the ball at his feet, but his first time playing in front of the fans. There's going
Yeah.
to, this guy's played in huge games before, but there's going to be nerves and jitters out there just from the excitement of finally being able to play at Q2. And we don't have an out designation on Julio Cascante, but with the stitches or staples in his head that you imagine he has, he may not play. And so that with that press coming at us, I have some worry that we're going to see some of the more 2021 style giveaways in the back there and maybe some easy chances for the expansion team.
I mean, yeah, we've known for the entire existence of this club that this style of play really hurts us at times. And it was on full display with the Red Bulls last year. And I don't know if I necessarily am worried. I think this could be a nice little test for us here if they're going to play that style on us and see how we respond. Obviously, top to bottom, our roster is much more talented. They have Berkey in net, which is definitely nothing to scoff at. He is a veteran of Bundesliga for I don't know how many years, but he was a starter for a long time on a very good club. So, yeah, when you have a keeper like that, they can keep you in games. And, as we know, there can be some sort of fluky kind of goal, a bad turnover in the back on the back side, right in our half. And, they're on the board. But I don't think I'm worried. Mm-hmm. With this team coming in, obviously their first ever game. I do think, the blueprint has kind of been laid for how to come into this league as an expansion team and, be somewhat successful or at least, be moving in the right direction. And obviously you get a guy coming from that Red Bulls organization who knows how to win games in the MLS, in MLS. And I'm just excited. I think maybe I could be confusing some excitement for a little anxiety about potentially dropping this game. Mainly because we would have to answer to a lot of people.
Well, maybe we don't have to answer, but that people are going to be asking questions of us, or maybe just more talking shit, right? Whether it's Twitter or Meme Monday on the MLS subreddit, places like that, and having to hear about it on Extra Time and on Season Pass, right? Like there's going to be the post game wrap up show, and you have to think that, barring something else just wild happening, and I'm sure crazy things will happen here on the first, on opening day with, I think, 13 of the 14 matches this weekend taking place on Saturday. The pregame show, the whip around show, and then postgame, if we get there and St. Louis has, upset the Verde and Black, that is probably the lead story on the wrap-up show. Maybe I'm thinking just too Austin-centric here, but it definitely feels like that. You look at the betting markets, we are the heaviest favorites out of any of the 14 favorites on the week one slate. So, we can talk a little bit more about those nerves, I guess, here in a second. I did want to bring up the sporting director for St. Louis City. We talked about him a little bit at the beginning of the offseason, I think, because I heard an interview with him. I think he was on Extra Time. But this guy's name, just to jog your memory here, is Lutz Pfannenstiel. And he is a character. Like why it stuck with me was he was very entertaining to listen to, very energetic, very pointed with his comments and his philosophy on how he's building this St. Louis team. So I looked up a little bit more about him. German, if you couldn't tell, former goalkeeper. And then he's also been a coach, a scout, a TV analyst, and obviously now the current sporting director. He holds the record for the only footballer to play professionally in each of the 6 recognized continental associations. I think it says more about his career as a journeyman player and like never really sticking anywhere. I mean, his playing career went from 1991 to 2011. So obviously he had that longevity, but no more than 68 appearances for any club along the way. Okay. And the other thing that really stuck out to me here, while he was playing in Singapore, he was accused of match fixing and was put in jail for 101 days.
Oh my God.
So again, talk about a character, right? Lutz Pfannenstiel. He was later cleared of those charges, just for what it's worth.
That's a substantial amount of time to be in jail.
Yeah, a couple months.
Yeah.
A few months, I guess, more accurate. But yeah, so I guess that I found that interesting. Wanted to talk about it.
Wow.
The guys that are going to be on the field is probably more important to talk about here. You mentioned Berkey in net there. And he was with Dortmund. That was his club there. 233 appearances, including 33 in the Champions League. Overseas, and he also has 9 appearances for the Swiss national team. So again, the pedigree is certainly there for Berkey, but I believe all he did last year was play 4 times for the next pro team there for St. Louis, because they did have some of those signings there last year, and those guys did play. Now that we know you can't play down on a first team contract, there must have been some sort of loophole for St. Louis last year to get those guys some minutes, that's great. Good.
Imagine seeing Berkey in net in a next pro game.
Especially if you're like one of the 16, 17-year-old kids that sometimes gets signed to these next pro teams, right? And you come through St. Louis, or they come to your place, and you're taking shots on net with Berkey standing there, who was just at Dortmund. Couple other guys. Obviously, Jared Stroud is there, and he is projected to start on the right wing. So I would think we've got him scouted pretty darn well, right? Don't let him get that long, low cross off, kind of skipping along the pitch towards the back post, because obviously the few goals that we did score in 2021, a few of them assisted by Jared Stroud in that fashion. Some other names here, Tim Parker, which I'll just say again, fuck Tim Parker. He should have been thrown out of that first Austin and Houston match last year for the hit he put on Driussi going right through his back. But a veteran MLS center back, very solid.
Tough.
Tough guy. And he was, I believe, before his 2 seasons in Houston, was with the Red Bulls and Coach Carnell there. So there's some familiarity there.
That makes sense,
A couple other names here that were just kind of highlighted on the MLSsoccer.com preview. Joao Klaus is another Bundesliga guy. There's one of their 2 DPs. That was another thing that stuck with me from Pfannenstiel's interview earlier in the offseason, was he said, we don't need a 3rd DP. Wow. He wasn't even pursuing it. So I'm not sure if that's, maybe we get to the summer transfer window and his tune has changed and they go after somebody, but that's what he said. So one of the 2 DPs here is Klaus, joined St. Louis City from Hoffenheim, and was most recently, I believe, in Belgium on loan. He has scored goals in Austria, Belgium, Finland, and Germany, albeit with Hoffenheim's second team. He's a 25-year-old, and I think should be starting up top for this team. So maybe the guy who, if we do manage to give up a goal, and we'll get to our score predictions here in a little bit, I assume your streak of not predicting an Austin FC loss or tie will continue.
It's a new year.
True. Yeah, you never know what can happen. Klaus, I think, certainly going to be a guy that the defense is going to be paying attention to on Saturday. 2 other guys here. Habulo Blom is a South African international. There's a lot of you've got a lot of Germans or guys that have played in Germany here with Pfannenstiel, and you've got some South Africans here with Coach Carnell. Blom is again, South African international defensive midfielder. And he was with and I think you'll know, and this is kind of silly, but I think both of us would know the Kaiser Chiefs from FIFA, that logo, right? So that is a South African powerhouse, apparently. He's 23, made 94 appearances for the Chiefs, and will be kind of the midfield anchor alongside Edward Lowen there. Again, another Bundesliga guy. Lowen is the 2nd DP on this team. Last guy here on the back line, Joachim Nielsen, not a DP, but was mentioned as a, quote, marquee addition for St. Louis. I don't think we'll actually see him tomorrow. He's currently injured, but 29-year-old Swedish international, played his last 2 seasons in the Bundesliga. So again, a lot of talent from the Bundesliga.
They clearly have pipeline there.
Yeah.
And
so
he's got connects.
It's going to help, I think, that Nielsen is not playing tomorrow, though, especially coming in like having anything but their first choices. Team is probably going to struggle, at least giving up chances, we hope, to that Austin FC attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess any comments from you there as I finish up my scouting report there on St. Louis?
I mean, I definitely have a comment on the comments about only having 2 DP players. Did he elaborate as to why he felt that way?
I think so. To be honest, I didn't go back and listen to it.
Okay.
I imagine, off the top of my head, it's a owner finances thing, right? But that's just my best guess.
Okay, that's an interesting approach for sure. So that was my first comment on that. Second one, just kind of reiterating what I said before. Obviously, top to bottom, we're a better team, and if we play how we're supposed to play, we're going to beat this team.
Yeah.
And we have been St. Louis to other people before, and to other teams before, and if they played the way that they were supposed to play, they were going to win the game. So I'm confident in our ability to go out and get this dub and play the way we're supposed to be. I bet these guys are really biting, really, really eager to get going with this season after the way the last one ended. So hopefully we come out, we put our stamp on the start of this season and get the job done.
Let's talk a little bit about what we are expecting to see from Josh Wolf's first 11 that he runs out here in 2023. It does seem like the consensus among the Austin FC faithful is that the 11 we saw against Miami last Saturday is the 11 that we're going to see here this week. And we kind of touched on it on Monday when we were recapping that match. The big absence in this 11 is the captain, Alex Ring, and maybe no longer the captain. And obviously, if he's not in the 11, he may have retained the captainship as maybe he's working his way into form or what have you. But if he's not out there, he can't wear the armband. So I guess, do you think that this 11 is what we're going to see on Saturday? Because, again, seems to be the consensus. I don't know if I'm there. How are you feeling?
Every day I kind of grow more and more sure that this is going to be the 11. And especially seeing these other community members come around talking about this as well. It looks like Lobito may have earned this starting spot here over Cap. And like you said, he can't wear the armband if you're not in the first 11. So, man, if I had to, we are gambling men. If I had to place a bet,
sure,
I would say that this is the starting lineup that we're going to see. And outside of the potential Cascante injury.
Right. So we will actually make some bets later on in the episode, something that we're going to be doing throughout the season. So I guess let's start there before I give any opinions of my own on the defensive midfield, maybe the fullback positions. Let's say Julio is out.
Okay.
I think both of us, obviously, Väisänen is in regardless. Who is paired with him at center back? Is it Tarek? Is it Keller?
I'm going to say it's Keller.
Okay.
I just don't think Tarek has had enough time to get fully, acclimated to the way that we play. Obviously, he's a professional with tons of experience. And I'd imagine, it's not too different from some sort of style that he's played before.
Right.
But I do expect to see Kip if Cascante is out. And I think that isn't coming down to necessarily Kip being the much better talent, just probably being more familiar with playing at Q2, the first game of the season. Other guys have a better rapport with him, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So I would say Kip, yes.
I'm gonna lean Tarek. Kind of for what you said, like the veteran experience, but like I'm not 100% solid on that because we saw in tough spots last year, and again, Johan Romagna is obviously no longer here, but Kip was the one, winning not just the opening match start, but he was the guy that came in when we were in a tough, like when Ruben got sick against Orlando, and went down like the 20th minute or whatever and had to come out. Kip was the guy that was, and Romagna may have been injured at that point or just not even on the bench. But yeah, I'm not surprised if it is Kip, but I'll say Tarek's the one that gets the nod there.
Okay.
I think regardless, from my perspective, if Julio's not in there, again, like I kind of mentioned earlier, that's where I'm like, well, like maybe we will be a little bit shakier at the back than we initially expected. Because I think both of us, again, like, even though we feel like the back line is a little bit more solid and certainly has more depth at this point than entering either of the previous two seasons, we're still not an elite defense, on paper at least.
Absolutely. And I mean, interestingly enough, Julio has been wearing the armband, right?
Multiple times. Yeah, I think twice at least.
Okay, so I mean, now we're really looking at something. If Ring is on the bench and Cascante is injured, who are we going to?
Right. Well, who's your pick? And maybe it doesn't have to be one. I guess let's just talk. Who could it be? Stuver jumps out to me.
Yeah, Stuver jumps out. I mean, obviously, you look at Seba, and it just maybe his personality is not best suited to be the captain out there in regard to being vocal and leading the men here. So yeah, I think I would probably say Stuver would be the favorite, and then maybe Diego.
Yeah. We also, I mean, just for what it's worth, I think we did see, at least for a half in the preseason, Danny Pereira wear the armband. I don't think he gets it tomorrow, but there's just so much uncertainty there because we've seen them pass the armband around throughout the preseason. And if Ring isn't in the 11, I don't think, even for those who seem to be sure that Ring won't start tomorrow, I don't think that became their reality until this week.
Yeah. I agree. Totally.
Again, and then the fullback pairings, Kolmanic and Lima, I think we have seen be with this first unit over the last 3, maybe 4 matches. I guess overall, and I do think that those guys get the start. I think I agree with you that absent the Julio conversation, this is probably the 11 we see, just because why would we be running something else in the 3 matches prior to the games that count, right?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Unless you were like trying to hide a guy who people didn't have film or tape on, you know what I mean? But like Ring's been around forever.
Exactly.
And I do want to touch on, obviously we've talked about like that we both feel pretty confident that this is the 11. And we should touch on Wolf a little bit here.
Sure.
Because I mean, for him to get that spot, he had to he has earned it. It has been
100%
earned by through his play. He is a much more dynamic player offensively than Alex is. He's faster. He's quicker to the ball. So it'll be interesting to see the void of like leadership that Alex has and kind of the grittiness that he brings to the team.
Right. Physicality.
Yeah, because that's an asset to a team.
100%.
And
that's maybe the only thing that you can argue he has over Owen at this point. Maybe is just that he's still got that. He's got that man's body, right? He can body. We've seen him play center back, albeit for like 30 minutes back in 2021. But I think that to me, that's just the only thing that he's bringing that Owen can't.
100%.
The leadership and the physicality, I guess, are the two, right?
Yeah, and I have full confidence in Owen. I really do.
Yeah, same. And we did not drive. If anything, we got better when he was starting last year on the right wing, and he was out of position.
Yeah.
So like, and overall, the last thing I'll say about this, presumed 11, it feels much more offensive minded, in my opinion. Like, and we've also seen or heard from people who got to see the full match against Sacramento. And we heard from some of the Miami reporters that Austin, when on the ball, have been playing 3 in the back. And then when we're on defense, we go back and Zani drops back in. But apparently Zani has been pushing up so far forward that it's like 3 in the back. And again, that Danny and Wolf pairing back there, whether you call it a pairing or Owens playing more in that 8 role, a little bit more advanced up the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it's more offensive minded, and I don't know how else to put it. So I'm excited for that. Obviously, we're excited for everything that comes with an Austin FC game day and a season opener. But yeah, it's just to be able to be able to see over this first month, right? Whether it's regular season or CCL, any new wrinkles that Josh Wolf and the coaching staff have put in, and how these new guys are integrated into the team and working together. It's just can't come soon enough, right?
Exciting times indeed.
All right, let's get to our first predictions of the year. And I'll go ahead and throw mine out there. I do think we punish this St. Louis team. Not like, man, Primo, I think said 6-0 on Top Flight this week. That is, I would love it. I would love it, obviously. So you've got some shoes to fill if you want to have the hottest prediction in the Verde Streets here. But I will say 4-1 because of the uncertainty with Julio in the back. And 4 may be a little bit strong, as great as we started last year with the back-to-back 5-goal games. We didn't score 4 or 5 a ton that season, right? So 4 may be a little bit lofty, but I do think the offense has been gelling. We've seen it with our own eyes on Verde Hill this preseason, albeit against USL competition, but good 538 did USL projections. Okay. Louisville is their number 1 team, right above San Antonio. So
awesome.
So give me 4-1 Austin, 3 points and a party to start the season.
Okay, I like that. Initially, I was leaning 4-1. I have some vague memory of saying 5-0 on a much earlier pod in regard to this game.
Okay.
Do you remember this? Do you recall this at all?
I don't, but it sounds like you.
Okay. So Primo went 6-0.
He did.
Hell yeah. Some baseball scores. I'm going to go ahead and go 3-1 just to not be fully initially I was a 4-1.
Yeah.
I'll say 3-1 in a game that feels like it should have been 5-1.
Right. I like it. We'll take it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I'll take 3 points however we can get them to start this season and just get going in the right direction.
100%. You don't get a trophy for scoring 5 goals the first game.
Correct. Although we would love to give ourselves one.
Yes, we can confirm. You could.
No last business day talk this episode. Just a reminder, I guess, if you want to try to catch FC2, they are playing a home preseason match against Houston Christian University on Sunday. Again, we listed ourselves extremely questionable on Monday's episode to make it out there. Let's move ourselves down to doubtful. Not 100% out, but probably out. I imagine that game is either at the secondary field, which I think was that turf? I don't think it was turf. Turf is over on the Palmer field. They're either going to be at that side field at the Performance Center or at Palmer Field. So, if anybody goes out there, let us know. We'll give you your props because, again, we are definitely doubtful for that. Couple pieces of news here. One for Austin FC, and then a few in terms of MLS as a whole. Man, what an offseason. Just to, this is the icing on the cake. Diego Fagundez extended by Austin FC through 2026. So, Sebastian Driussi, Diego Fagundez. In my opinion, and obviously there's a lot of important pieces. You could Stuver and you could go on down the line, but to have those two guys locked up for the next 4 seasons, and again, I think Driussi's 2026 year is a club option. You imagine, unless things go completely haywire,
Mm-hmm.
we will pick that option up. So to have these guys for 4 years, man, like, I guess, talk to me about your feelings about that. And then, like, deserved, right?
Mm-hmm.
More than deserved for
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, what an offseason. And an offseason that was not devoid of scandal,
Mm-hmm.
Losing, disgruntled players.
Mm-hmm.
So like there was a lot going on, and for this club to navigate it the way that they did and take care of the two biggest priorities on this team in regard to our contract situations right now and getting these two guys paid, just absolutely incredible. Congratulations to Diego. Very well deserved. Obviously, one of the league leader in assists last year. And just a guy who, I mean, outside of Stuver, probably the fan favorite, if not already the fan favorite. He's beloved by the fans. He's the only guy who's got a song, right?
Yeah, so
Only guy
far.
with a song. That's telling.
Yeah.
To have these two dudes locked up to 2026 is fantastic. I'm super excited, and just another shout out to Diego for a very well-deserved payday. Get the bag, my friend.
Let's talk about the MLS playoff format here that was finally released, I believe, on Tuesday. Not a lot of fans liking this, and I do think it's not all bad. But I think you and I, obviously, we discussed it offline. I think we both had similar conclusions in terms of like what jumps out to us first. So I guess I'll let you take it away here after I kind of describe what the league is doing. And it seems like we're just kind of doing too much, as they say. There will now be 9 teams that qualify for postseason matches. I guess depends on who you ask whether or not the wild card game counts as like a true playoff match or not. But I say wild card, 9 in each conference. So 9 of the 14 teams in the West. Houston fans rejoicing. They now have a shot to play in a wild card game. So wild card matches are just the 8 seed and the 9 seed. It is a 1 game winner take all, so to speak. Winner gets a best of 3 series with the 1 seed. You heard me right. Best of 3 series in round 1. So you'll have obviously 16 total teams there in the first round. No more buys for the 1 seed in either conference. And the format of the best of 3 series will be home or higher seed, right? Home, away, home. And this is what I mean. Again, I don't think it's all bad. It's just weird. If a match in the first round is tied at the end of regulation, there will be no extra time played, and we go right to penalty kicks. So I guess I knew I said I was going to throw it to you. Let me just get this off my chest here. I understand the no extra time thing, because if you went to extra time, let's say in all 3 matches, you're playing an additional. You're playing 4 matches then, right, in the span of 3 weeks. But you could. We were talking about this too. What if? Okay, let's say we play RSL, right, and RSL just goes for it, and we have the greatest game of all time, and we score 10 goals, and they score none at home. And
Correct.
It's 10-0 on aggregate, and aggregate doesn't mean shit in this format. And we go up to RSL, and they bunker in, and we tie 0-0, and we lose on PKs. And then we come back to Austin, game 3, and they do the same thing in 0-0, and we lose on PKs. A team could advance, not scoring a goal, giving up,
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. I guess, okay, I'll throw it to you finally. Sorry, I loved the format they had. Single elimination was just awesome. Every game was awesome.
It's embarrassing, bro. It's honestly an embarrassing development for the league.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this a long time ago, and we touched on how these other leagues place such an emphasis on the regular season and the total points accumulated. And, that's the gold standard. And then we just took this, like, American playoffs are like the thing that we do. You know what I mean? It's like playoffs and everything. That's like that NBA. That's when the season starts. NFL, obviously, we have the Super Bowl. Like, this is March Madness. The postseason is what American sports are known for. And we just went in the most insane direction I have seen in recent memory for any league in regard to their postseason format. It's asinine. Like, to play a best of 3 and then to shift to single game elimination is absurd. Like, it's crazy. If anything, I remember back in the old days of the NBA, you would have your first round matchup be best of 5, and then you shifted to more games.
Right. Not less.
Yeah. So now we're going from 3 down to 1 and moving forward like that. And like you said, why wouldn't it be aggregate? It's aggregate everywhere else.
Yeah. And just play 2.
Yeah, no, of course, just play 2 games. Like, what is going on? I mean, like, imagine if you're a team that wins the wild card, then you happen to win a grueling 2 games in a 3-game series, and then you go on to have to play a single elimination game. It's just, I mean, I wouldn't have as big a problem with it if they had just come out and been like, look, we're trying to increase revenue here. Right. Because it's a cash grab.
Because it's obvious.
It's obvious. And it's also obvious that they can't say that.
Right.
But, like, you have to word it somehow where you make the word revenue and profit fit into whatever bullshit reasoning you are putting out there for people to try to digest.
Right.
Like, you don't have to be like, look, is this a cash grab? You don't have to say that verbatim, but you do have to say, in the interest of increasing revenue and profit for the league as a whole, we wanted to shift. And so it's horrible. I don't get it. I don't know if it's going to last that long because
Let's hope not.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a large amount of backlash here. And now this, honestly, it changes the entire dynamic of winning the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
It's a whole different, setup. It's really bad. I don't get it. I'm obviously animated about it. You are. We're pissed. But, you know.
We were already worried about too many games.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. And especially because we want to get MLS clubs into more cups. We want more emphasis on us being a global destination.
Right. And we want the best of us to be representing the league at CCL, at hopefully again Club World Cup. Like,
yes.
I don't know. And again, like, I think I certainly let my displeasure with this kind of stop me short there after the first round. You mentioned it. After that best of 3 series in the first round, the semis, the conference finals, and the MLS Cup are single elimination.
It's absurd.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any. If anything, if you had to work in a best of 3 somehow, you put it in the championship series.
Yeah. Or even the conference finals. Like, do the conference finals and the cup final, right? But like,
it's absurd.
I don't know. We really have to watch the Dynamo when they win their wild card game as the 9 seed play against LAFC 2 times even. Like, I don't know.
We just got to handle our business and avoid that wild card at all costs.
Absolutely. And so I did say it's not all bad. I think it is cool that if you make it to the playoffs, you make it to that top 8, every fan base gets a home playoff game. That is cool. But like you mentioned, you don't need 3 to do that.
Yeah.
Home away or home and home, right? Aggregate score. And multiple players. I saw Swiderski from Charlotte talking about, and again, the players have to kind of toe the company line too, because they can't go out there and just completely blast it. But I have not seen a player or a coach or anybody associated with any of the clubs come out and be like, oh yeah, this is it. Like, this is what we've been waiting for.
This is what we want.
Yeah. So, just had to, and again, I'm sure that because we got the double pod week, we got to talk about this a little bit earlier, but that's certainly going to be a conversation over the next few weeks. And then certainly we'll pick back up again once we get closer to the playoffs. in the fall. We can skip the rest of this this MLS news because I want to get to the team draft here and I don't want to go too long.
Indeed.
So again, we are certainly not the first people to do this, but we think it's a cool idea, and you and I want to compete against each other some more. So we're going to do a team points draft here. We are each going to draft 10 teams, and we will accumulate all the MLS regular season points that those 10 teams do. And at the end of the year, whichever one you or I has more points from our 10 teams will win bragging rights, right? And that's a big thing between us, for sure.
The most valuable thing you can have in the world.
It's true.
Is bragging rights over your good buddies.
Yeah. Okay, I will let you choose. We'll snake it, right? So do you want the first pick or do you want to defer and get the turn?
First question.
Okay.
Do we have to take 5 teams from each conference?
No, 10, okay. Whoever you want.
I will take 2 and 3.
Okay. And I will take Austin FC because I feel like I have to. And,
yes.
And we're going to get a lot of points. So,
all right.
You're up with your second and third pick here.
I'm going to go ahead and take Philadelphia for certain. And then, you know what? They've gotten the Bogart bump.
Okay.
This LA Galaxy squad.
Yeah.
I have come full circle. Or half circle. I've changed my position.
Right, okay.
Bogart has convinced me. I don't know how or why.
Yeah,
because obviously. But yeah, I'm gonna take the Galaxy here.
Yeah. I like it. I do like it. I mean, we're both so high on Ricky Pooch. I just think and he has now verbalized, I'm going for MVP. So yeah, we'll see. He certainly made a statistical mark last season in the 8 matches that he did appear in. All right, so I've got my second and third picks here. I will take the other LA team here. Give me LAFC. And then I will dip into the Eastern Conference pool here and take FC Cincinnati.
Nice. Okay. All right, I will go ahead and take another team that I believe got the Bogart bump.
Okay.
In Charlotte.
Yeah.
Go ahead and snag them there.
All right.
And they had a bit of a down year last year. Well, they played a lot of games, but obviously we've always been pretty high on Portland. They're a solid team. I think I'm going to get a good floor there no matter what. Evander, obviously, on our best ball club, and we're high on him. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Portland.
I was eyeing them here in my next 2 picks. So I do like that pick, and I will double up here on Western Conference teams. I'll do it. It doesn't feel great, but I'll take FC Frisco here and add them to my roster. And then I will take our representatives at the Club World Cup. Give me Seattle in the 5th round here.
Nice. I like that.
I have 4 Western Conference teams, 1 Eastern Conference team. You are currently 2 and 2, but here's your 5th and 6th picks.
Okay. Interesting. We're kind of getting into
the more take a chance type of picks here.
The more interesting territory indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Toronto.
All right.
As well as Nashville.
Damn. Yeah, I knew we were going to have to break into the Eastern Conference here somewhat heavily at some point. So
yeah,
I do like those 2 picks. I was definitely looking at Nashville. Now this is tough because I see there are 2 Eastern Conference teams that I think are very much worthy of being selected here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 1 Western Conference team kind of also hovering near the top of my board. So I will stay in the East here for my 6th pick. And even though I think they will take a little bit of a step back here this year, Still, I think good value in the 6th round. I will take NYCFC as my 6th pick, and then I will jump back to the West and take Sporting KC. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Sporting KC was going to be my next selection. So we're going to have to go back to the board here. This will
be your 7th pick. 7th and 8th. Yes, sir.
7th and 8th pick. Wow. So basically we're letting all these teams into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Man. They've had such a tumultuous kind of off season. I don't want to touch them. I really wanted Sporting KC here. All right. Well, I've said it all off season. And I think they're going to be a better team, but we'll go with DC here.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you got to put your money where your mouth is,
Hey, you're right. You're right. You put your bragging rights where your mouth is.
That's right. You can give me my flowers later or a steaming pile of crap.
Yeah. Maybe a wooden spoon.
Shit, I got to pick it. Or maybe a wooden spoon. Shit, I got to get another team here, huh?
Yeah. You got 3 more.
3 more teams I got to get?
We got to get 10.
Good gravy. Well, right.
Imagine if we were drafting 28 of them.
Reynoso on the way out, yeah?
Suspended by the team currently. I think, right, like he's back in Argentina, and I think what I read 2 weeks ago was like maybe some legal trouble there.
Was it a DV thing?
I think it was like assaulting. Okay, I can't say this without actually looking it up. Sorry, everybody. We'll pause real quick because also, I think I'm going to say what I thought it was, and then we'll try to confirm it. I thought I saw that he was like allegedly had beat up like a 16 or 17-year-old.
Oh, I do. Yes, that is right.
Okay, Star Tribune. See, because he was suspended without pay, and I guess this has to do with single entity league, suspended without pay by the MLS for failure to report. But I'm trying to find like one of these places that is actually going to report why he's in Argentina. Okay, this is from the Star Tribune. They're up in, I assume, Minneapolis. The club has his hometown newspaper late last month reported Reynoso could face trial for a December 21 arrest in which he was accused of making threats with a gun and beating a 16-year-old minor.
Ooh, that's not great.
Yeah, so I don't know if he's going to be back.
That doesn't sound good.
We need to holler at RB because he's got Reynoso on the Texas Ring of Fire team, and I think we should allow them to replace him. That's the rule.
Okay. So I just took a look at the 538 predictions.
There you go.
I strained my thumb trying to find DC because I had to scroll so far down. So yeah, not feeling great about that pick. We're gonna have to bounce back here, and I'm gonna go with Atlanta.
All right, I like that pick. I mean, at this point, we're picking teams that were out of the playoffs last year and we think could make a run this year, right?
Yes.
So
yes. And now because I took DC, you are obligated to take St. Louis.
What? No.
Come on, if we're making exceptions for RB.
All right, I will stay in the Eastern Conference here for both of these picks. Give me the Columbus Crew.
Okay.
And, our boy, Cucho Hernandez, and Wilfred Nancy, the coach, now there. I will Columbus. And then I will also take Orlando City. Give me a little Felipe in my life in the team draft. So I've got 1 pick left. You've got 2. And that will round out our team draft.
Man, it is slim pickings here.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 left, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and give me the Red Bulls.
Ah, bastard. Red Bulls on the team.
Man, tough. I mean, I'm obviously not taking Houston.
Yeah, I thought about that as well.
What about this Miami dark horse? You get Messi.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that. And since now you can take them, yeah, I don't hate that at all.
Okay,
that's just you're taking the shot on Messi, right? And if they had Messi, where would we pick them? First 6 picks.
Yeah, they'd go pretty high for sure.
So
they'd go before DC. I know that.
Yeah. So Inter Miami the pick.
Please lock me in.
All right, Inter Miami, and I will close it out with New England. Well, that'll do it for the team draft. Appreciate anybody who stuck with us through that. Appreciate you humoring us there through our competitive nature. We'll do one more thing. We'll do this together, and maybe not always together going forward, but we do want to do some betting content because we know that people are out there. Whether you're in a legal state or not, there are always ways to put some jelly beans down on these games. So we're gonna make a few picks per week and keep track of them. So we can strut around if we're up for the year, and if we're in the red, we'll tuck our tail between our legs and keep it pushing.
Okay.
We've got 3 bets down here this week. We mentioned earlier Austin FC the heaviest favorite on the week. So obviously, if we're gonna pick that game, we would bet on Austin, but minus 200 favorites right now, so no value there, and we certainly like to look for some value. So I know you had one that you kind of convinced me on, so we're on board with that one. But I'll start. Give me Toronto plus 180 at DC United. Certainly both teams that struggled last year to varying degrees, but I do like the plus 180 for Toronto on the road, of course. Not the best spot, but I just think the talent, even with the additions that DC has made, give me Toronto plus 180 on the road to kick us off here for the season.
You're playing with fire, bro. Tell you what.
Hey, both of your teams there, so you get points regardless.
Maybe. Okay, so yes, I did touch on the Inter Miami with you, but I'm going to shift here.
Oh,
we're going to take this Sporting KC at plus 230.
Oh yeah,
and see if they can, been flying under the radar a little bit, but came on hot, and I think they can steal one here.
Yeah, I think that was probably the one that was like the first one out for me in my notes this week. I think what scared me off is the recent history between these two and Sporting KC. I think Sporting lost 7-2 up there last year.
Yeah,
that's not indicative of what's going to happen this year, though. So I do like that pick. And
that
so I think
let's even more.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess Kevin can come yell at us if we are the ones that mush KC here on the road and they get beat again. But let's put that Miami pick on the record for us. I like that pick.
Okay.
Miami hosting Montreal, both teams that I think we're kind of down on, but I think we're both, you and I, certainly more down on Montreal this year. And you're getting Miami at home plus 150. Obviously, they did not look terrible against our guys this last weekend. So I like the Miami pick there plus 150. I don't want you to run away from that because I'm with you on that one.
We ride.
And then we'll take a legit favorite here in the picks. We'll take Seattle at home. This is the lone Sunday match. Seattle minus 130 hosting the Colorado Rapids. Rapids, one of the worst road teams in the league last year. Certainly, it's preseason. Everybody's got their hopes up. Kevin Cabral has looked pretty good for them in the preseason coming over from the Galaxy in that offseason trade. But Seattle, obviously coming back from overseas, they have already played in a game that matters this season, albeit they didn't look super sharp. But Seattle at home, only minus 130. I do like taking that there. So there's our 4 picks.
Okay.
Again, we've got Sporting KC plus 230 on the road against Portland. We've got Toronto plus 180 on the road against DC. We've got Miami plus 150 at home hosting Montreal. And then we've got Seattle minus 130 hosting Colorado. I know, we usually record kind of right in the middle of the workday here. So I know you've got to run for a meeting. I've got to start prepping for my streams tonight. But before we go, we are going to have our first ticket giveaway of the season. So pay attention to our Twitter, our new Instagram. You can find us on Instagram now at the North End Podcast. Going to be giving away tickets for the second home match. That's next weekend against Montreal. So be on the lookout for that tweet. It's going to be your typical kind of gimmicky tweet, right? You're going to have to follow us. You're going to have to retweet. And you're going to have to make a score prediction for Saturday's match against St. Louis. And everybody who gets that score prediction right, if it's just one person, they win the tickets. If it's multiple people, we will draw it I will probably go live to do that drawing next week. And then we're also going to put out our picks for MVP, Keeper of the Year, Newcomer, Coach of the Year, that type of stuff. We'll put those out tomorrow as well, just so we get them out before the first game kicks off, so everybody can look out for that. Double pod week in the books. Again, 2 days away from, like RB put it, the family reunion on Saturday night. Anything else for you before we get out of here?
Can't wait to see you Saturday, bro.
Yeah, same here, man. I don't think we have to add too much else, right? If you got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we would really appreciate it. If you're listening to us on the YouTube channel, you can hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell to know when a new episode or a live stream go live. You can also hit the thumbs up on this video and help us out against that YouTube algorithm. And that'll do it for us here on episode 32, our Manchita episode, and maybe in the future, our David Rodriguez episode, because he was wearing 32 in the preseason. And we will see everybody on Saturday at Q2. Let's fucking go. 2023 season is here. For E, I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.